And
Yes,
now
sir.
it
Let's
is
get
time.
into it.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to
Welcome
John
back to
Talks to
John
Lamb
Talks to Lamb.
and Lamb
We were
Talks to
supposed to say it at the
John.
same time, but you didn't do it.
Yeah, sorry. My timing is all off. I've been on a whack for a week. I texted you that I think I time traveled to the end of the week, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly
Yeah.
what happened. You sent me that text on like Tuesday, and I
Yeah,
meant
when
to
you were still
respond to it.
dying.
Well, yes
Wait,
and
what did I
no. I
text
mean,
you?
I
Hold
felt
on.
fine.
What was I talking about?
Well, we were talking about some D&D
D&D
situation,
Yeah.
and I meant to respond, and then I think I didn't respond on Tuesday, and then it was Friday.
Mm.
And yeah, that seems to be, it's weird because that continually keeps happening to me, and I'm not a big fan, but I think that's what life is. I think you just time travel.
Yeah, I think this last week for a lot of people has been very autopilot-y.
Well, I mean, today's the 1st. It's February. January is gone.
Yeah, so winter's over, you guys.
Yep. It's warm outside. I guess, Texas, we got a whole week and a half worth of cold weather. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, not really. I hate the cold weather unless it's time for bed.
I guess that's fair. I've been winter used to be my favorite time of the year, but I'm pretty sure I'm turning around on it. I know we had a bit about spring, or rather April being the worst month, but
yeah.
spring and fall maybe, I think, are genuinely
they're a lot more ideal.
Yeah, it's a transitionary period between it's too hot and it's too cold. So you kind of want that nice little middle ground.
Although, unfortunately, if you live in Texas, you just have summer, even hotter summer, and winter, and even colder winter.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as fall and spring here.
Yeah. It's, we just have to pretend that the coasts aren't burning and then fine and then burning again and then fine again.
Both coasts are burning, which is the weird part. Both California and, what is it, South Carolina?
Is there one in South Carolina? Is there one over there as well?
I believe so.
I haven't even heard about that one yet.
I heard about that one a couple of days ago. Hold on. Let me look it up.
But if it happened in the past, 4 days, I time traveled. I did not know anything. There was an airplane crash. There's been a lot of bad things that happened in the last week.
Yeah. A wildfire in South Carolina.
When did it start?
Oh, this one's just talking about wildfires. Hold on.
Oh, just in general? I mean, there have been a lot.
Let's see. According to South Carolina Public Radio. Yeah, I guess it's wildfire season for them, apparently. I didn't know that they had a season for wildfires.
Oh, my Lord.
On average, wildfires burn about 18,000 acres each year in South Carolina.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And the largest one was in...
This just sort of keeps happening, I guess.
Yeah, the largest one was in the 70s. So, it's been going on for a while.
Still? Since the 70s?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
And that was the biggest one. It was 30,000 acres. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to even visualize 30,000 acres.
But I mean, I guess that's just a natural disaster.
Yeah. A yearly natural disaster for the past 55 years of their life. Or longer. I mean, that was the biggest one, right? Not even...
Yeah.
The first one was in 1970.
I have no idea. Maybe, I don't know if that's just global warming or that's just something that's always happened and we're only just now hearing about it because of California.
Yeah. That kind of stuff seems to be happening. There's a good old the end of the world as we know it. I think they talked about this back in I think that song's from the 50s.
It's the end of the world. Yeah. I mean, the world is ending right now anyways.
Yeah, of course. The world is always ending. In the grand scheme of reality, we're closer to the end than we are the beginning, right? I think that's how it works. I don't think that's true at all.
I don't know. Given the way the state of the world is right now, hell, all we just need is one good nuclear fallout.
True, but then we could always retreat underground. There's a possibility we're going to get to go to Mars. I don't know. Who knows. I used to worry about that a lot more than I think I do now.
Listen, I was promised space travel within the next 100 years. By now, I should have had a hoverboard and flying cars.
Well, we have space travel. We've been to the space.
No. I don't mean just going off into the moon and sending probes places and rockets places. I'm talking full-on space shuttles and ships, Starship Enterprise type shit.
I think, when was the Jetsons set? Because that was... That was the pretty furthest in the future one, I think. 2062. Yeah, we still have 32 years to get there.
I
Man, they
guess.
really overshot. 2062. This was from like the 50s, wasn't it?
I mean, they said that's about 100 years, 100
Oh,
plus.
beginning on 1962. Yeah, they did. They put it 100 years in the future.
I mean, I guess they still have time.
That was only 3 seasons long. I always thought it was longer than that. That's watchable. I might have to go back and watch the Jetsons.
Yeah.
But speaking of watching things, okay, out of all of the sponsors that I have burned on this show, you would think that the WWE would be down to sponsor us. I guess we've never actually contacted them because
I think that's the biggest thing is we haven't attempted to contact anybody yet.
Yeah, like we'd like to brand ourselves as a wrestling group, except that I barely watch it and you don't watch it at all. So we're not. It's just those are like the big things. Well, okay, that's at least the big thing that's happened recently. I can tell you that I'm excited for today because the Royal Rumble is on. I couldn't tell you any of the storylines going on because I only watched one episode in the past 4 months.
That's
But the cool thing is I watched it live. That was why we couldn't record last week, is because I went and watched the show on Friday. And we were supposed to record Saturday morning. And I guess, okay, I don't go to a lot of live events. And I want to keep this brief because I have ranted about this to like 3 different people already. But I haven't
just rant to the internet.
Well, yeah, yes, exactly. Yes. I want to preface all of this by saying it was awesome, and I had a good time. Except everything I remember from the event is bad. All of it. No, I don't have a single positive. Not even really one. Yeah, I take it back. There were a couple of cool moments, right? Overwhelmingly bad. Overwhelmingly terrible experience. But I had a great time, and I want to do it again. I just need to figure out how to not do what I did, right? Okay, step one.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, you have a question? Right off the bat, please, before I go
ask, was it bad because of the experience or was it bad because of user error?
Maybe you could be the judge. I think maybe it was 50-50, maybe less than that. I mean, there were elements out of my control that I couldn't do anything about, but let me start, okay? It starts on the drive because the drive is about an hour and 10 minutes-ish in traffic through Austin because it was in the middle of Austin. Not too bad. I've made that drive a couple of times, but I have not really made that drive too often alone in a car that is perfectly angled to where the sun is always in my eyes at that particular time of day.
Oh.
Because I drove up there around 4. Yeah, I think I left at like 3:50, somewhere in that range, right? To get there by, I think it was 5:30 or 6:30 was the start. So it was like right when sunset was going down. I forget the exact hours. But it was fine for the first, 5-10 minutes of the drive. Then the sun was right below where I couldn't block it with the windshields very well, with the visors very well. So I got to drive in the sun the whole time, like directly into the sun.
That sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, that was the, not the funnest part, but I was excited. I was listening to like the wrestlers' entrance theme music. I was getting myself hyped and ready for this experience. But because the sun was sort of shining right in my face, it was very hard to have a great time. So that was like that was the beginning of it, but I shrugged it off.
I don't know if that should count towards the WWE part of the experience.
It's not their fault that it was where it was and I was where I was. However,
it sounds like your fault.
Yes, yeah. However, I paid $90 for these seats, and they were awesome seats, except for, okay, I'll get to that, right? $90 for the seats. I also had to pay $30 for parking, because in the middle of Austin, you're not going to find parking anywhere. I guess in hindsight, maybe I should have like parked at a free place way away and gotten a Lyft or an Uber or something. But that probably would have come out to the exact same amount.
Yeah.
So find a nice little parking spot that's in the middle of, as close as I could get. I think I got really lucky, which was nice, but that's, another $30 out of pocket just to
God dang.
leave my car somewhere. But again, not really their fault. I understand. That's part of the game, part of the system. I prepaid for parking the last time I went, so
Mhm.
it was included in the ticket price, but they didn't offer that here. So whatever, right? Kind of shrugged it off. It's like it's fine. I'm here for the experience. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. Get inside. Find my seat. I'm in sort of a upper balcony area. It's like the front of the nosebleeds, so it's not horrible, but it's not like super close. I think it was
Okay.
pretty much the perfect angle, except for the
Are there
fact.
nosebleeds like steep as heck, and like if you bend over too much, you feel like you're falling off?
No, thank God. I've been in places where it's been like that, and
Mhm.
it's terrifying. I yeah,
That's good.
yeah. These were actually very nice, and there was like an elevator. There was even a bellhop on the elevator that helped me get to where I needed to go.
Oh
I,
wow.
I checkpointed 4 people by the time, right? So I get to the little put your bag on the thing and empty out your pockets, right? Did that, got inside, went and looked at there was some person in there right standing next to the thing, and I was like, "Hey, these are my seats. How do I get there?" They were like, "There, elevator up." Go to the
Mhm.
elevator, get to the thing, go up. The lady in there pushes the button. Right, I show her my ticket. She pushes the button, and then I go up, and she's like, "Hey, you're gonna go out here and take a left." Then I go out there, take a left, and I'm like, "Oh, cool." Now I'm like at the seating area. Then there's another dude standing there in the doorway and is like, "Hey, you have a ticket?" "Yep, it's there." And he like points to my seat. It's like the easiest. I've never gotten to a seat easier in my life. It was amazing. Once I
Mm.
got in the seat though, they I've considered not saying this phrase because
Oh my god.
I feel like
Uh-huh.
in the wrong context it could be bad. But what I got,
So we should clip it right here.
yeah,
Here, I'll
in
mark it.
hindsight, the seats that I got, and there's no way I could have known this ahead of time. And not to say that I would avoid this in the future, because well, okay, what I mean, what I want, what I'm trying to say is I got
Mhm.
seated in the Spanish speaking section.
Oh, I didn't know you were Spanish.
I am not. I was the only white person in that entire section, at least to my knowledge. I mean, I
Hmm.
didn't look around the entire time and try and clock other white people, but one of the things I really enjoy the last couple of times that I've gone to wrestling events is hearing the fans, right? Like all around you, yelling stuff out at the wrestlers and, having a good time and talking amongst themselves. I I've never wished that I could speak any language more than me just sitting there going, I don't know what anybody around me is saying right now.
Did you go by yourself?
Yeah, yeah. You think
Oh,
anybody around here would be down to go and watch wrestling?
I don't know. You got a group of friends that are interested in different things.
Yeah, the last time we watched WWE was last year's Royal Rumble, and the impression that I got was that they really didn't vibe with it. So I decided, all right, yeah, we're good there. No need to worry about it.
Oh.
Hey, if any of you are listening that actually went to that little mini party and you do want to do it again, by all means, let me know. Let me know. Otherwise, I don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. But anyway, right? I went to go and have a good time. I don't, I experienced wrestling on my own for the vast majority of my experience with it. But
Mm.
I love the live event experience because there's all these people out there that know what's going on. Well, even more than me. And they can I could feed off of them to know where, because the audience at these events is pretty much a character in its own, right? There's
Yeah.
the wrestlers doing their thing, but then they could do everything that they want, but if the audience doesn't care or isn't not like non-responsive, it's gonna be
Mm.
bad no matter what
Yeah.
they do, even if they're doing awesome stuff, and the audience is just like silent and watching them. Awkward. It's very awkward because I've been to one. I've seen matches within these events where that I don't know, nobody really cares about whoever's fighting in there. And
Mhm.
so it's like, well, this is my chance to go get popcorn or whatever, right? And it kind of makes it awkward for the people that are in the ring, but that's, beside the point. There's a whole nuance to it that I really appreciate going to the live events for. However, I think I do prefer the online, watching it online because angles are awesome and I like to be able to see the people's faces.
Correct.
But okay, besides the point, right? So I'm sitting in the Spanish speaking section, outside of, well, I think they were probably all bilingual, right? But
Mhm.
they were all speaking Spanish amongst themselves because that was what they were all doing. Outside of the one time that they usually like show all of the if there's any celebrities present down there, like behind the announcer's desk, they'll be like, "Give it up for this person." And there were a couple cool people there, right? Gabriel
Yeah.
Iglesias, comedian, was there.
You did tell me that, and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, he goes to a lot of them. He's a big fan, especially the ones in Texas. I think he probably goes to all the ones in Texas.
Mhm.
There's also a couple of other comedians. There was Shane Gillis and Tony Hinchcliffe,
Maybe we
which,
can get sponsors from them.
well, I don't think we want to. Given the audience reaction to, okay, now I did not see this live. All I did was hear about Tony Hinchcliffe because I believe he did like an opening set for a Trump rally or something like that,
Oh.
and made some very pointed remarks at an island nation,
Mm.
calling them some very derogatory things that everybody has collectively seemingly decided we don't like him. The exact same way I think that we all collectively decided we are done with Hulk Hogan, because he did pretty much the same thing,
Yeah.
where he tore his shirt off in the middle of a Trump rally and then got booed to hell on Netflix when they swapped over to there, out of the building when he started peddling beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of a disaster. So that was the only English that I really heard, was a very drunk person behind me shouting at Tony Hinchcliffe from a distance, right? We're probably, I don't even know, I couldn't judge distance. We're like half a mile away from this dude, but he's still yelling at the top of his lungs over all of us, telling him to go to hell and all this stuff. Luckily that happened at the end, which I take that back. It wasn't lucky that happened at the end, because where I was sitting, right, nice seats, good view. I liked where I was sitting, except there was a light. I was up above the lights that were on the ring, and they had a couple of other lights that were pointed up towards the ceiling area to give, ambient lighting inside of there. All of the sections in the upper row were sort of partially illuminated by these lights, but the lights, it was just one. All it was shining directly into my right eye, right, sort of above my, like, the right side of my cornea there. The entire time for a 3-4 hour event. I was sitting there, and I was having a good time. And then maybe an hour in, I was like, man, that light's kind of starting to bother me. And like an hour and a half in, I was like, okay, I can feel the light. All I'm doing is looking sort of down to the left, right? I'm looking straight, but the light is off and to my right. And it basically never turns off except when there's a wrestler entrance, and they, dim all the lights, and then there's pyro and stuff, and they have a cool entrance. But this light just shining directly into my eye for 4 hours after an hour and a half-ish of driving into the sun. It was the first time I've like developed a migraine and been like powerless to do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to have to sit here. I can't put up a hand and block this light because it's just at the angle where I would have to be holding my arm directly up in front of me. So I was, 3 hours into this event, was like, I had a horrible light-based migraine where I was just sitting there going, okay, I wanted to leave. There was multiple moments where I considered, is my enjoyment suffering enough that I would leave before the main event?
No, you can't do that.
I toughed it out, and I had a migraine for the better part of like 7 hours after that. But it was horrible. I was sitting there going, I want to be cheering. I'm watching really cool stuff happening down there. But every time I was like leaning over to the right, and every time I would move my hand away, the light would hit it and it would just spark back up. It was a bizarre experience.
Was it like pinpoint, like laser, like a pinpointed
No,
laser?
It wasn't a laser.
Eye?
Yeah,
or was it
it was
a large
light.
area of light? A floodlight?
Yep.
So you couldn't just like bob and weave out of the way?
No, it covered the whole section. And it didn't have any like barn doors or anything that I could avoid it. That's why I was like, there was nothing I could do. I was
Yeah.
sitting on the front row, so it's like I couldn't hide, like slouch down enough to hide behind somebody. Not even that I would be able to do that because if I did that, then I wouldn't be able to see the actual like ring. It was at the perfect angle where I couldn't watch the action and
Mhm.
not be blinded by this light the entire time.
So like, I I don't know if that's anyone's fault here. I don't think
What do you
they
mean that's not anyone's
listen,
fault?
listen. Okay, I think this is not WWE's fault. I think that would be like a light design, architectural design issue.
Yes. And you know who does that? The WWE lighting team. I have watched time lapses of them assembling the ring. They put that thing up there. It
Listen,
belongs to the WWE. So they pointedly saw all of us in that upper layer and went, screw you guys. Nobody can see. You're all going to have migraines by the end of this.
listen. The whole thing is it's all about the experience. And I think you're looking at all the negatives. What about all the positives?
That's what I'm saying. I told you I had a good time.
So
But
then why are
I'll
you
be-
ranting about your
I'll
good
be
time?
damned if I didn't.
I
if
think
I
you're
don't
just trying to
only
find a
remember
reason
the-
to complain.
I know. I have been trying. I've been racking my brain going, okay, this was a worthy experience, right? I know everything I remember about it was miserable, but I had a good time, right?
But I need to I want to circle back real quick.
Okay.
Did you or did you not say you would do it again?
That's what I'm saying.
So
Okay.
why are you okay?
That's you know, sometimes I often wonder about my own psychology. And
See, okay, hear me out.
I just have to convince myself that I had a good time in order
Because you did.
Because I did, right?
I think
And I
that's
want to
just the human
go
condition is all.
and do it again.
The way that you're talking about it, it would be like if so. I've been to 2 conventions in my life now. The last
Okay.
one I went to, whenever I go with my friends, when I went with my friends, they like to go all day, and so it was like, okay, cool. And so we went. I had a great time. I had a blast.
Right.
There were some things that I was like, oh, this is new. This is different. I'm not used to this kind of thing. Like there was this concert that was going to be happening, but it was like a HoloLive concert where they have what are they called? What are they called? The live streamers that are virtual.
VTubers. Yeah.
VTubers, yeah, virtual
Mhm.
dummy. But it was 2 VTubers who were very popular. Me
Right.
and Jacob knew nothing about the VTuber scene, but we're just like, oh, cool, this is something we can do because we were just kind of sitting around. Because I was kind of tired. I was kind of burnt out a little bit. My social battery was a little dead.
Sure.
And Jacob was just like, I'm just here for the vibes. Excuse me. Meanwhile, our other 2 friends, one of them, he was doing photography, so he was having a blast.
Nice.
And then the other one, they were there because, a whole bunch of fandom stuff, and so they were looking at that stuff. And so we go and we go to the HoloLive VTuber performance thing, and we're just sitting there, everyone looks all cool in their cosplays and whatnot. And then it starts, and they're just very high pitched anime sounding women. They're twins. I forgot what their names were. And every 5 seconds they would just go Mao Mao, and then the audience would go Mao Mao, and I'd be like, Mao Mao, is this a furry thing? What's going on?
Weirdly, I feel like I know who you're talking about. Hold on. I think I've seen a clip of these people.
Yeah, it's twins. I forgot what their names are. VTuber. Or I don't know if they're the ones that did like that coined the term, or that's just like a VTuber term kind of thing. What's their names? VTuber twins, Fuamoko and what's the other one's name?
Well, I think they're like a tandem
Is that
team.
the name? Oh yeah.
It's like I forget what exactly their full name is, but
yeah, Fuamoko. That's their HoloLive
or something
name.
like that.
And apparently, they in real life they are twins. And I think they used to stream normally, but then they got into VTubing and got huge success. But I was there, and I was just watching or sitting there, and Jacob was like, do you want to go? And I was like, I mean, they haven't even started the performance yet. Mind you, we'd been sitting there for 20 minutes. They were doing like a Q&A session. And I was like, do you think they're like here in Dallas? Or do you think they're like at home somewhere just doing their VTuber stuff?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I had no idea, but probably at home because, you know, they're in their full VTuber thing. But yeah, he was like, do you want to go? I was like, we can't. It hasn't even started yet. And then I was like, you know what? If they say Mau Mau one more time, then we'll leave. And I kid you not, 10 seconds later, they go, Mau Mau. I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, no hate to the VTuber community or their fans, but it takes a very specific kind of person to be into that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that wasn't even the purpose of what I was gonna say, but now it is because I forgot what I was gonna say.
Of course, yeah. Yep.
But I realized going to this convention, first of all, you know, there's always gonna be somebody who's more into something than you are, no matter
Sure.
what. But like, I realize I'm not a weeb and I'm not an otaku. One, because I barely watch anime. I've been slowly getting back into it. I finished 2, and then I'm trying to catch up on Demon Slayer. I'm on season 3 now.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so like I've been watching anime more, but like the people who I met there, they're like full on, like 100%, like want to be those characters or like get into the culture of the anime or get into Japanese culture, things like that. And you know, when I first got to college, of course I was kind of that way too. Obviously I took Japanese. I had a dream of moving to Japan, maybe teaching over there. There wasn't a realistic dream because I had no real interest in teaching at the time.
Right. Okay, sure.
But I just wanted to go to Japan, an excuse for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I understand that.
But like there was just so many people there that you could tell like this was their thing. Like how your thing, what would your thing be? You have a lot of things. Like how you are for, I don't know, let's go Lord of the Rings. You're a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Or The Witcher, maybe. Big fan base kind of guy. Or you're a big fan of these things.
Yes, like, I accumulate knowledge very quickly on topics.
Yes. But like these some of these people like eat, sleep, and breathe these fandoms.
Definitely. Yeah.
And it wasn't just only anime. Obviously, it was also video games too. There was a lot of Has-Been Hotel people there as well, and I know they have like a cult fan base kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I feel like anybody who's into Has-Been is like super into it.
Yeah.
Like them. I guess an equivalent would be like Steven Universe fans. Steven Universe fans, they're like die hard for Steven Universe.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a like a rude or like a bad or derogatory way. It's just like they have so much investment into it. And I remember when it was like streaming and whatnot, the amount of like speculation videos and like conspiracy theories and trying to figure out the plot and who these characters are and like their backstory and what was gonna happen. It was so cool to watch as it happens, but as I look back at it, it's like, oh wow, like people were really sitting here. They managed to see like one hair follicle fall off of someone's head. All of a sudden, they've deep dived and explained why this specific hair follicle is as a metaphor for why the main character does this whole thing, and that's why they're gonna get this whole power up, stuff like that.
I see.
Shoot, now I think about it, Dragon Ball fans are also like that.
you could literally pick any fan base,
because I
make
remember
that deep dive. I mean, as into the Lord of the Rings as I am, I haven't read the books all the way through. I certainly haven't studied the Silmarillion like a lot of these people have. You could go. Well, of course, you know the content creators have to have made that depth available. But if that depth exists, then there are people that will attempt to plummet.
That is very true. I think one thing that does suck if you are that kind of content creator is if you've marketed your whole brand towards one specific kind of content, then you're kind of in you're gonna find yourself in a rut eventually when they stop making content for it. Like
Oh, you mean like as a consumer of it, or you're talking about from the content creation
from the
side?
content creator perspective, because I know there's this YouTuber that I follow or subscribe to. I don't watch his videos though, but he makes like hella speculation videos about different things.
Okay.
And when the Dragon Ball, he's a Dragon Ball speculation kind of a
Oh,
person.
sure. Okay.
And so when the last movie came out, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, it came out about, or it was a movie about Gohan and Piccolo or whatever. He managed to put out like 4 or 5 videos back to back about that movie, and then he started revisiting old topics because he had nothing new to talk about.
Yeah. Weirdly, I feel like as someone who tends to fall down the rabbit hole of this finding out about something and then getting really too into it,
Yeah,
I feel like the exact kind of people that appeals to, the wow, there's so much lore here that I can get into,
yeah,
are the exact kind of people that could do it themselves, but not, I don't know, not can't, but like they have the capacity to learn all of this stuff, which means they have the capacity to create all of that stuff
hmm,
on the other side. So like if they were in that position, it's sort of like a create the content that you want to consume.
yeah.
It's very, that's at least that's sort of how I view it in
No,
like
I could see that. I mean,
yeah, because
no,
I've done that
definitely.
myself, where it's like I've seen like the Lord of the Rings and gone, wow, there's so much here I could dive into. But then I ended up kind of just doing that myself and going, yeah, I could have learned all this stuff about the Lord of the Rings, but now I have wow, this feels really pretentious to compare myself to Lord of the Rings, but it's
Oh
like
my
now I
god.
have a lore compendium of my own that I'm
Yeah.
continually building out
I
that
mean, I
would
think it's pretty
occupy.
comparable compared to like anything else
Yeah,
that you have going on.
yeah, it's like a little baby version of it that
Yeah.
is, if I just continue down the pathway rather than learning more about Lord of the Rings, if I just keep going, if I keep, I don't know, maybe for me because it feels like a very exploratory
Yeah.
process, right? Where I mean, I'm not like, yeah, because the best way I can usually describe the creative process is, oh my god, we're talking about the creative process again. The best
It's
way I can
fine. It
describe it,
happens.
right, is discovering
Yeah.
the next step in it, and that's sort of where it's a little more difficult, rather than
Yeah.
revisiting old stuff and revising it. That's why writing new stuff is always more difficult than revising that stuff.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's very much like a process of discovery. I have to find out. I'm finding out what the next thing is. That way I can then write it down and have it make sense so that when I go back and ever, review it, then I have the revision part and it's like, oh, I've already learned this about
Yeah.
this world that is technically coming out of my brain. So it's like, yeah, I feel like it's the same muscle. Learning the lore of the Lord of the Rings is the same muscle, the same experience as learning the lore of Anio or any fictional world, given out there with characters and plot and all this stuff.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I find that because I like to write stories. We've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on this one that I started last summer or summer of last
Oh,
year. Yeah, last
okay,
summer.
all right.
Um,
Long project for you.
well, I was working on it and then I stopped.
Oh, okay, I see,
And
I
then I
see.
came back to it because I wasn't because I started working on it because I think I might have talked about it before. One day I was just chilling at home with Chris, and I like games where you can create characters. I love character customization, and
Right.
so one day he was hanging out, and I was like, "Hey, I want to make a character for you," and he goes, "Okay, make a character for me," and I was like, "Okay, cool." So we kind of collabed on it, like making his character in Soul Calibur 6. And so then I was like, okay, well, let's give him a name. His name is Moreno. All right, now I need to make a story for him, blah, 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 blah. And so that's how it started. And originally, there was 4 parts for his story. And I eventually wrote them out while I was, had free time while I was at work, etc., etc.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
You've either
if,
shown me. I think you've shown me this.
yeah, I don't remember if I've talked about it on here before,
Yeah.
but
I don't know.
yeah, it's called The Legend of Moreno, the Demon Touched Warrior. Um and basically the story is he's like a farmer kind of he was kind of an adventurer, but after his parents died, he resigned himself to just take care of his little sister, who is an adult, but it's still his little sister. And they just kind of live in this village, and like demons are in the world, but they don't know demons are in the world. It's more like a legend kind of thing. And then demons attack the village and kidnap his sister. So he has to go try to save her, pretty much, is the premise of the story. And I remember telling Jacob about this, and he was like, sounds like Demon Slayer. And I was like, well,
Right.
no, not exactly. And he goes, demons, sister, save the sister. And I was like, listen, but I find that the more I will look into something and learn about the lore of that kind of stuff, I feel like the more I am likely to replicate it without realizing it.
Oh, sure.
Because I don't know, I like to write stories about demons for some reason. Because like I have that one, I have one that's like angels versus demons kind of thing, and it's very reminiscent of Seven Deadly Sins. You're gonna see a pattern in my stuff apparently.
Yeah, I'm not a weeb.
Yeah, no,
Proceeds to list like 8 different anime.
Well, I've only said 2.
I
Shut
think
up.
my bar for entry to weebdom is very low. I've learned.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Going, those people are
not
weebs.
geekdom though.
Yeah, I suppose that's next level. Weebdom is
They're like
tier.
they sit at the opposite sides of the same table.
Yes, and they look at each other and spit on each other and go, "You don't belong here."
You disgust me. And then the gamers are in the middle.
Yeah, us normal people.
Us? Us
okay,
who,
yeah,
John?
Oh yeah, please continue. Right, yeah, you like to
that's what I thought.
remix things. I understand that. Yes,
It's not something I do on purpose. It just kind of happens and I don't realize it till afterwards. Or like UJS, I was telling Jacob about that, and he goes, "Sounds like My Hero," and it's like because they're kids with superpowers.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of through lines for any given piece of content out there.
No, correct. Nothing is original. There's nothing that's original. But I feel like
weird that this is coming up now. I was just talking about this yesterday. Right, yeah, but please continue.
But I just feel like, see, now I'm ranting a little bit. I feel like people are too quick to compare without knowing the content of it. But to be fair, everyone does it. I do it too. I was watching this one anime, one of the ones that I had finished recently. It's called Sengoku Yoko, and it's about, feudal Japan, samurais, demons, stuff like that. And like a lot of the world, when I started watching it, felt very reminiscent of Inuyasha. And so I was kind of trying to market it to my friends and my family. And I was like, yeah, I kind of enjoy the show. It's very reminiscent of Inuyasha. I know you like that, so maybe you should give it a look-see. I don't think my cousin ever did because she hates me. But
nice.
Anyways, back to the more important thing. The thing I was saying was like, I feel like it's a lot more likely to replicate things that you found that works in other universes because it works there. But then I feel like if you get too into it, you might kind of get dependent on it, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah, but
to that distillation process of bits and pieces from everywhere.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Wild Robot? It's a movie that came out.
No,
January,
I have not. I did
December.
want to go see it, but I don't think I ever went and saw it.
Okay, well, without spoiling anything,
Wall-E.
I usually there's I wrote, I track my movies and write down my thoughts on them afterwards. My opening statement for The Wild Robot is that basically The Wild Robot is a mix of, I'm going to list a couple of movies here. All right.
Okay.
Migration, 2023, Open Season, 2003, and Fern Gully from 1992.
Oh, wow.
If you mix those with Wall-E from 2008 and Zootopia from 2016, that's what The Wild Robot is. That's all The Wild Robot is. It's just all like 5 or 6 of those movies. I was watching it going like, okay, this is good. I mean, it's a good movie, right? It's like 4 out of 5 stars. That's what I rated it. It's a good movie. But
from what I can tell, all those movies are good.
Yes, that's right. It's not a bad movie. I was just watching it the whole time going, I really enjoy this, but I've seen this movie. I've seen 5 of these movies. They're all good. I mean, there's nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
And they had good actors. There's like Matt Berry. I don't know if you know who Matt Berry is. He's one of my favorite actors. He's just so like goofy. He has it's just him every time. He has a very distinctive voice.
Matt Berry.
I based one of my really old D&D characters off of him, and he was the most obnoxious character. But okay,
Mhm.
that's beside the point, right? The Wild Robot, really, really fun movie. You should go see it. It's nice. It's family oriented. It's very sweet, right?
Yeah.
But just okay. I have created a piece of content, the first episode of what's supposed to be maybe a 10-part series, right? That I'd started like 10 years ago now. Whatever. We don't worry about it. I've only made one episode.
Uh-huh.
It's are you familiar with Red versus Blue?
Yes.
Okay. To those that aren't in the audience, Red vs. Blue is sort of a sitcom in the machinima style, which means it's done via a game engine. So everything that you see is basically just people controlling characters in a game and then doing voiceover on top of it. That's a very, dumbed
Oh, I know
down.
what you're talking about.
It's a
Yeah, when
very
is episode 2 work
yeah,
getting worked
exactly.
on?
Yeah, I know you are in it actually.
I know, that's why I want to know.
Right. But okay, so Red vs. Blue inspired me to create something called Starship Abridged, which is a sitcom done in the machinima style. Is based it's sort of a sci-fi set on a spaceship, and there's just sort of it's a sort of a crew that is dysfunctional, like a little mini dysfunctional family, and they're supposed to go around and solve problems, right? That's a very log line basic version of that. I just watched the other day a movie called Dark Star. It was
Mhm.
from 1980, sorry, 74, 1974. By John Carpenter. John Carpenter is a famous horror actor, but Dark
Mhm.
Star was one of his earliest pieces of work, and it is a comedy about basically a dysfunctional family of space people living. They operate like a scout ship that goes around and destroys rogue planets that are going to collapse into their stars, create black holes, and all this stuff. But they're just sort of like over their job, right? It's like I hate my job kind of thing, but their job is crazy. Like they blow up planets.
Mhm. Mhm.
While I was watching this, I was with dark while I was watching Dark Star, I was getting such heavy Red versus Blue vibes from it, right? Like the
Mhm.
captain is sort of this all of the different characters are so quirky, right? But in their own ways. Like one of them was just like, I don't want to go back down stairs because I don't really I don't vibe with the crew, and one of them is just straight up like, I hate the people on this ship.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
the captain and like one of the other people are like, they're the only two that like each other. And so they're just kind of talking, but they're like talking about nothing all the time. So it's this really surreal comedy that it was just so weird. And there's like bad effects. And anyway, right. I was getting really heavy Red vs. Blue vibes watching this. And when I Googled it, it turns out that the guy that created Red vs. Blue, Bernie Burns, who is actually from Austin, believe it or not, was heavily inspired by Dark Star to create Red vs. Blue.
Oh.
So basically, he watched Dark
We've
Star.
gone full circle.
Then he made Red vs. Blue. I got inspired by Red vs. Blue to make Starship Abridged, without realizing that I had basically just made the plot of Dark Star. Yeah, minus the going around blowing up planets, but it's still like the same concept of like a dysfunctional group like trapped on a spaceship together going, I really would like to just get off this spaceship, but I can't. I have to be here. And everywhere else is like worse. So it's a weird cyclical loop of I've
Mhm.
created a third. I mean, I'm sure other people have even made. This was like the first loop that I had joined this loop because Carpenter created Dark Star, Burns had created Red vs. Blue based on Dark Star. I created Starship based on Red vs. Blue. I'm like the third link in this chain.
For
It
you
kind
at
of
least,
freaked me
yeah.
out when I saw that because I was like, I was talking about this with my cousin who makes music, and he has experienced the exact same thing. Where like
Mhm.
bands that he listened to, he's not that he's like 5 years older than me, I think, right? But like, say he listened to a band from the '90s, right? Like a grunge rock band from the '90s, who were
Mm.
inspired by people who were doing like heavy metal rock back in the '70s, who were inspired from somebody earlier than that. I don't know how far back this chain even goes at this point, but he basically expressed the exact same thing. Where he's like, yeah, I've written music inspired by, I don't know, like uh, Metallica or whatever. But that song that he was inspired by, that he wrote, so his written song inspired by another band that was inspired by another band. And he's like, I basically just wrote what that first band wrote
Mm.
that
Mm.
inspired them in the first place. Or rather, at least there were like through lines that connected all three of these pieces. And this is the first time that I had watched a piece of content and gone, wow, I have now seen directly someone's inspiration who inspired me.
Interesting. That's pretty
Yeah.
sick, honestly.
I don't know. It's a weird creation. Yeah. That's why there's nothing original. I could probably Carpenter was probably inspired by something. I don't know what, because 74, that would be back in probably the 50s. I'm sure there was like workplace comedies that he hated, or rather he liked that they were, like a dysfunctional workplace comedy, and then he just set it in space because he could do that at the time.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a weird. I really liked it. It was so. It was so horribly paced, but there were moments of it that I was legitimately crying laughing, and it's the only piece of content that's made me do that in like the last 3 or 4 years. There's just, oh my lord, there's a alien. They one of the crew members rescued an alien from one of the planets that they blew up and was like, we need a mascot. And this alien is it's so bad. It's basically a beach ball. I take it it's not basically a beach ball. It's a beach ball. But they have like hands attached to it. And this thing was just going around. Like he's like, all right, I gotta go feed the alien. Or rather, the automated ship was like, you need to go feed the alien. He's like, why is that my problem? It's like, well, you rescued it. It's basically your pet. So he's like, fine, I'll go feed the alien. And then there's like a whole 30-minute chunk of the movie. It's like only an hour and a half long, but there's like a 30-minute section where he's trying to feed the alien. And he can't feed. He just can't feed it. Like he's trying to give it food and it won't get the food, and then it is then chasing him, or it escapes and he's chasing it down, and then it tries to kill him by dropping him through like an elevator shaft. It just keeps attacking him, but it can't do anything because it's a beach ball with hands. And so it's like it's clearly trying to murder him, but it can't because it's so like helpless and harmless. And every time it attacks him, it's basically just this beach ball thumping on him.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's just every time that beach ball was on the screen, I couldn't help. I couldn't control it.
Interesting. Where did you watch it?
Maybe Amazon. I think it's on Amazon.
Illegally.
Legally. Of course, I don't steal things.
Me either. Speaking of not stealing things, I watched Castlevania Nocturne Season 2.
Oh, you completed it.
Yeah. And let me tell you, wow. It was a roller coaster.
I've only seen like the first maybe season of the original Castlevania.
From what I've been told, I have to go back and watch Castlevania, the original series, because it's just so good. So I'm gonna have to go do that later. But with Nocturne, I know a lot of people have beef with it because of the animation change. And then they said that season 1, it just was bad because of like the storytelling aspect of it. Because I haven't seen the original Castlevania, I can't really compare it. But a lot of people were saying season 2, it basically went back to the formula that worked for the original Castlevania series.
Oh, okay, yeah. That is tried and true.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I don't know, again, I can't compare it since I haven't watched it, but from just the experience I had, man, it was such a good experience. It was so nice. It was so good, so beautiful. The animation is amazing. The fight scenes are awesome. The storytelling, fantastic. The characters,
That's a solid review. That's everybody out there, if you like vampires and the killing of vampires, Castlevania, that's where you should go.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold on. Do you have any opinions on Shia LaBeouf?
Not particularly, no.
Oh, okay.
My roommate does, though. Jacob does. He hates Shia LaBeouf.
Why? Why does he get him on? Go get him. Where is he? I know he's here.
He's at work right now.
Damn it.
We'll have to get him on next week.
What? Do you have a Cliff Notes version?
Pretty much because he plays the same character and everything, and he doesn't like how he performs. Pretty much. And like the way he talks, I believe, is what he said.
I see. Okay. Based on what movies?
I couldn't tell you. I know he's seen Transformers movies. I don't know if he's seen Holes, which
that was a very old. That was a very early Shia one.
Yeah.
Has he seen any of his stuff like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic?
I couldn't tell you. I assume he hasn't seen things recently because he doesn't like Shia LaBeouf.
That's fair. Yeah.
But like he's very.
Did you ever see
about...
like the Peanut Butter Falcon?
Me?
Yeah.
I can't say that I have. I don't think I've actually seen any of his recent stuff. I think the last thing I remember seeing from him is was it Eagle Eye?
Well, I don't even know that one.
That one was like that was back when like robots and AI was kind of like taking over movies coming out, like iRobot kind of vibes, pretty much.
Uh-huh.
And this one's about like an AI that's basically turned robots against humanity, I believe. Here, let me look at Shia LaBeouf movies.
Well, okay, the reason that I bring this up is because I've recently gone down a sort of... apparently, I'm not even close to being down this rabbit hole, but there's I recently went down a couple of his like smaller performances. I guess smaller performances. I mean, with Indiana Jones, and Transformers sort of being the higher up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there were two that kind of, and I actually shared a sort of similar sentiment where I was like not really enthused with him. Like he wasn't my favorite actor of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And then with all of the weird stuff that sort of like the mental breakdown stuff that happened to him pre-pandemic and then during the pandemic that I was just, seeing online, it was very much like, okay, this is sort of a very, very classic and sort of sad Hollywood story.
Yeah.
But he released two movies in the same year, 2019, Peanut Butter Falcon and Honey Boy, both of which were like two really good performances by him that I was genuinely, totally like changed my mind around. The Peanut Butter Falcon I saw first, and it was a very, it's a very sort of wholesome indie film. Great if you're into that kind of stuff. It's like sort of the equivalent of a warm hug is how I've seen it described.
Oh,
Honey Boy, however, is a movie that was written by him during his what do you call it? It's a stay at a mental rehabilitation clinic.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like a true story where he plays his own father. And the movie is about his father and about his and his father's relationship. And it was a very odd movie. It's like, it's one of the most soul-bearing, like, personal looks at somebody's trauma that I think I've ever... I've seen a couple of things that were similar to that in short film form. Where,
like Inside?
No, not... Well, I suppose Inside might be the watered down's not the right word. Like, more family-friendly equivalent.
Okay.
Right, where it's like, there's not... Well, I don't know. Maybe there's familial abuse in Inside Out. I don't really remember, and I haven't seen the second one. But it's like I don't know. The stuff that they were going through was just very. It's very raw. It's very emotional because it was so like just reality. It was it was basically the true story of his life from his perspective but because he had written it, I don't know, it's a weird movie because he wrote it about himself, but there's an actor playing him, and he is playing his father. So it felt like this really weird way for him to cope. Yeah, cope seems like the wrong word, but like during his stay at this mental facility when he wrote this movie, it was sort of like two different timelines where one of them was him as a kid, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's an actor as the kid, and then Shia as his dad. But then there's another actor that plays older Shia,
Mm-hmm.
that then they interact, older Shia and
And the dad.
actor Shia, and
Oh.
middle-aged, and dad. Yeah, and dad Shia. So it was
Hmm.
this, I don't know. It was a very weird uh personal like glimpse into somebody's life who was still alive. I mean, that they were like, he's like 40 or like 38 or something
Yeah, I
now.
guess would that be considered a biopic at that point?
It pretty much is. It's like an autobiopic as well, because he wrote it
Yeah.
about himself, which sounds sort of like facetious and pretentious, but it wasn't.
No,
To
I
to
wouldn't
to
say it
his
that way
credit,
just because the stuff going on in it. I wonder like how cathartic it, because it was probably pretty cathartic writing it, but I
yeah.
wonder how cathartic it was to like actually be in it and to play the role as his own
Oh,
father.
dude, there were some scenes that I was looking at it going like, if okay, assuming everything in this movie is true and he is not, uh,
Embellishing.
yes, which I don't believe he was. There were some scenes that I was like, I cannot imagine. I couldn't. Okay, if I had gone through the things that he had gone through,
Hmm.
I would not be able to do what he was doing to recreate them.
Yeah,
Like, in order for him to get into the headspace of
essentially
playing his own
re-traumatizing
father,
himself.
yeah, dude,
Oh
it was
yeah,
pretty intense. I was like, this seems like he must either really be not over it, but like he's really come to terms with it
yeah.
in a healthy way, or
Hopefully,
he's like off the deep end at this point, and he's gotten to the point where he can fully embody the madness,
hmm,
which is just, I don't know. It was crazy because I've never seen him as that kind of actor. I've always seen him as Transformers, or we
yeah.
watched Fury, which was he played sort of a like a Bible thumping member of a tank crew. So I've had this very clear picture of him in my head that I feel like Jacob probably has the exact same picture.
I can see that for sure. Yeah. I mean, he kind of get typecasted for a lot of his earlier roles.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Very, very, like sarcastic front man.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
so interesting.
I would recommend maybe watching like
And this was for Honey Boy or this was for the Peanut Butter Falcon.
the Honey Boy is the one that he wrote
Hmm.
about himself, but the Peanut Butter Falcon is the one that sort of got me out of it. Like changed my perspective on him.
Yeah.
Well, because what we did was we watched Fury and then Peanut Butter Falcon and then Honey Boy.
Okay.
Fury is very much, it's sort of like he's not the guy he is in Transformers, who he is in a
Yeah.
lot of other movies, right? Fury felt like he kind of broke out of that mold, and I went,
Hmm.
okay, well, it changed my opinion on him. And then I went, okay, well, he's been in a couple of other things that I've heard were good and kind of skipped, maybe because I don't know, maybe it was because of my dislike of him as a person. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, maybe now's a good chance to maybe revisit that. And I went back and we watched the Peanut Butter Falcon, which was a big change of pace. It's sort of him going maybe back more to that sort of sarcastic front man,
Hmm.
but his character is not. Maybe he's like more of a helpless character in this, like
Hmm.
trying to seize his own fate rather than being along for the ride, like in Transformers.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it felt like a more empowering role for him as just an actor.
Hmm.
And then I found out that he did that and released Honey Boy in the exact same year.
Oh wow.
And so it was like,
He's working hard.
yeah, he had a hell of a 2019, or maybe 2018 was when he was filming it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'd be interested in talking with Jacob about why he doesn't like him. Though I think he'd need to do homework first. He'd need to watch some of these movies,
No.
which I don't think
We
he
need to
would.
get we need to get his what's it called?
That's
His
true.
unbiased
So
review
it'd have to be like
first.
a two-parter. We'll have to have him on and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, why don't you like Shia LaBeouf?" And then you're gonna have to confront your fears. You're gonna need to
Hmm.
watch some of these movies that he is in. because that's like almost a 20-year career at this point. Starting longer than that in Holes. Holes is 2003.
I mean, he was doing like because he was doing Even Stevens before Holes.
Yeah, he was like a child actor.
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess Holes was kind of the biggest one.
Not even more.
Mm-hmm. But anybody out there that is struggling with their Shia relationship,
see the
I don't
Shia
know.
that I know.
It's possible that maybe Honey Boy isn't super resonant with everybody, and maybe this says more about me than it does about anybody else. Who knows? I would like everybody to watch Honey Boy, see if they vibe with it, and then see where it goes from there.
I'll give it a look. See,
nice. I thought it was a nice film. There's a bit of trauma in there for sure. So
like trauma.
Be advised, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay, yeah, we have hit our hour. Is there anything else you would like to say to the people before we call it?
The world is ending, so good luck, everyone.
He's wrong, false, fake news.
No, I'll show you fake news.
The world is only ending for him.
No. Oh, I mean, yeah.
Don't live it one day at a time. Believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself the way that I believe in myself, you can fly. Just do it.
I do have an announcement.
Oh, he's what?
It is. I can't speak about it too much yet, just because I know somebody who listens to this will be affected by it. But I may or may not be. Dang, how do I phrase this while being cryptic? I'm having some changes in my life.
Okay.
I guess I've had this last month has been a lot of changes actually. And I guess two big things. One might be my employment.
Nice. Okay.
To something better than what I'm doing now. Well, I mean, I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing now, but for at a better cost.
I feel that. We stand the pay raise.
And the other thing is, your boy, I'm your boy. I am off the market.
Ah, damn! Look at that! Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. All of our viewers wanted to, I'm such a hot babe, but
yep.
You can't have me no more. Sorry, I am taken.
Well,
and I don't mean the movie.
Congratulations, and I'll see you at the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah,
and the wedding, and I don't know what happens from there. I guess deathbed, 2077,
honeymoon, kids?
Honeymoon. Yeah. There you go. Yeah,
bachelor party. I'll see you at the bachelor party. It's just gonna be
perfect.
It's just gonna be us playing D&D probably.
Hey, I'm down for that.
All right. Well,
thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.